He originally hails from Columbus, Ohio, and from what could be called a Dominican family, as he had an aunt who was a Dominican sister and an uncle who was a Dominican priest. He eventually became a Dominican friar himself, earning his doctorate in moral theology in Friesburg, Switzerland. Ladies and gentlemen, Father John Corbett.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's fun to be good to be back with you, even if it is rainy and windy today. I was with you with the retreat, right? Was it September?
Some of us.
Oh, okay, very good. Today, I would like to spend some time talking about human action and the description of human action, because it really it's a topic that really demands some precision. You get into a lot of trouble. Just this morning, we were having a conversation about the case out in Arizona. You may have heard of Bishop Tom Olmsted and the hospital where they had an abortion, right? He withdrew Catholic status from the hospital because the hospital was violating Catholic teaching in a number of areas, providing sterilizations and that sort of thing. But the particular thing that brought about this crisis was the problem of abortion. There was a woman who, and this is thank God, this is very rare these days. The medical technology has improved vastly. But even with the improvements in medical technology, you sometimes run into tragic situations, right? What this particular tragic situation was, a woman was pregnant and the child was defective and was going to die. The mother's life could be saved if you would induce a direct abortion, if you would abort the child, and the mother's life would be lost if you did not. Now, so can you do this or not? And it seems to me that a lot depends on how you describe action. You know what I mean? A lot depends upon the name or the name you give the action. There's a theologian out there, a couple of them. One of them is named Germain Grisey. Did anybody ever hear of Germain Grisey? Okay. Another one is John Finnis. They are serious and orthodox Catholic theologians. I mean, they would live and die for the Pope and for the magisterium, and they would give their lives for Catholic truth. But they have this opinion about what to do in cases like this. And what they would do, you see, is they would have done the abortion themselves. And the reason they could do the abortion, they think, is because what they would be doing would not be taking the life of the innocent child. That isn't how they would frame the action. They would frame the action differently. They would describe it as repositioning the size of the skull of the fetus. You see, what they're doing is not killing. What they're doing is shrinking the skull so that the child could exit the womb in a way that wouldn't kill the mother. Now, this is a bit, you can see why this is problematic. Can you really creatively re-describe an action, crushing a skull, as giving the skull new dimensions? And if you can, it's literally a true description, and it does describe the intention with which they perform the action. You see what I mean? Because they're not really aiming at the death of the child. They're aiming at saving the life of the mother. And the way they save the life of the mother is by giving the head of the child a new size. Unfortunately, the foreseeable result of giving the head of the child a new size is that involves actually crushing the skull of the child and bringing about the child's death. But according to this particular way of re-describing the action as reshaping the size of the skull, the I mean, if you can do that, then you can position your action not as a direct killing of an innocent human being. You can describe the death of this innocent human being as an unfortunate side effect of an otherwise morally acceptable act of reshaping the skull. You see? So I just wanted to bring this up to say that how you describe an action makes a great deal of difference. I mean, the way you describe an action actually contains within itself the moral evaluation of the action. I want to, before I get into that, that's why this discussion of description and accurate philosophical accounts of action matter. See, it can be a matter of life and death. All right, I want to spend some time before we get into the concrete moral evaluation and description of actions to give a kind of a psychological structure of human action, describe how a human action unfolds. St. Thomas basically divides the human act into three structural parts. The first part basically deals with the end, or the goal, or what is aimed at. The second general section refers to the means to the end. And the third general section of human action, the third structural element, would be the actual performance, the physical performance of the action itself. So you have a discussion of the end that is sought, and then you have a discussion of the means that are undertaken to achieve the end that is sought, and then you have a discussion of actual performance. Each of these different stages has 4 substages. We could talk about each one of them briefly. When you are talking about the ends of an action, the purpose of the action, and you have 4 subsections. I want to talk a little bit about each one. You have, first of all, apprehension. And then you have volition, a simple volition.